Yes, bustin' did make me feel good, but in trying to create nostalgia, Ghostbusters Afterlife became a victim of being caught in the middle. Like Craft Legacy, it's time to whip out the single mother trope, trying her best to raise an outcasted kid in a small town. And this kid also happens to have bloodline from one of the original legends. It's time to take a look at Ghostbusters Afterlife. Roll the clips!
What are you doing here in Somerville anyway?
Honestly, my mom won't say it, but we're completely broke.
Warning, this review has spoilers, because for the fans out there, there were a few missed opportunities, which kind of felt like a blow. Don't get me wrong, I did like it, but the sucky part is that while they went hard on nostalgia, from bringing in all the tools, the cool monsters, and even the lineage from the original, the new characters themselves, while wonderfully acted, weren't that memorable. Much like Craft Legacy, I guess the new trope Hollywood has mastered for new nostalgia is a vulnerable single mom who's trying her best to piece her life together and raise an outcasted child who happens to have legendary bloodlines. Thank God it isn't Netflix, because unlike Craft Legacy, this one actually was an entertaining package. Another thing that we can be thankful for is that this didn't follow 2016's Ghostbusters. Clearly, they were the most unlikable people in the world, teaming up together to try to rob you out of your money and time. So let's throw that one out of the way. This 2021 version tried to pave its own way with the new lore, but you can kind of see that they relied a lot on the Spengler Heritage Hard just to propel the movie, which I kind of enjoyed considering the last Ghostbuster fiasco didn't have any nostalgia at all. What? They did? Well, clearly I wasn't paying that much attention to 2016's Ghostbusters.
My grandfather died. My mom says we're just here to pick through the rubble of his life.
But the real spotlight of this movie has to go to the teenage kids, which gave it that Stranger Things vibe. Heh, they even brought up the kid from Stranger Things. But while giving the spotlight to the next generation was great, it definitely made this seem like more of a kids movie. The nostalgia seemed like it was just there for the marketing value and didn't contribute anything to the story. If you're gonna go hard, why not bring the original gang out at the beginning of the third act? It was the most flaccid third act of all time, without a sense of real threat or theatrics until the last 15 minutes. I know the whole movie was pretty PG, so you don't want to scare the kids, but the start of this third act had me riled up less than a Spy Kids movie. To think about it, why was Paul Rudd even in this movie? They wrote the role for him just so we can have Paul Rudd. I thought Paul Rudd was going to take the mentor role, but clearly it was Grandpa Spengler himself, who in the last act pulled the best James Potter impression as he shot electricity out of his magic wand against Voldemort.
Sweetheart, you're ready. Let go! Let go!
Anyways, a lot of this movie, it tried to be its own thing, but in doing so, it straddled the line a little too hard between fan service and being a kids movie. Which also, as a kids movie, it was a little too long at over 2 hours. Now, all in all, it wasn't too bad. I just wish it was less of a superficial fan service in the form of Stay Puft Marshmallows and ghost traps, and more of teens and geezers working together to defeat a threat. Another arc I wish they worked more on was the mother and the goofy boyfriend, trying their best to help a kid find her way through life. It just really felt like Paul Rudd's character, as well as everybody else, didn't really have a good storyline to them. I guess that's my biggest gripe with this movie. If you're going to do nostalgia, pick a lane. However, if you're an 80s kids and you have kids, or you just love Ghostbusters, this movie is still a watch.